Hello, everyone. I'm Debbie Cafazzo, a member of our Board of Trustees at the Tahoma UU congregation, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers. We welcome everyone who's joining us with a longing for community and hope for peace and justice. Congregation, we encourage everyone to find their own truths and beliefs. We invite you all to join us in a search for meaning and community, guided by reason, respect for each other, and of course, the big one, love. The wonderful thing about this virtual platform is we have an opportunity to welcome guests outside of our traditional geographic area. So special welcome to friends and returning from near and far away. I invite you to follow us where we are streaming live this morning. Woohoo! Links to the video versions posted there is on our website, which is tahomauu.com. You'll find all of our announcements this week in our e-news, but I'm going to run over some highlights, so bear with me. Doug Taylor will be offering a next week this education program called Spirituality and Aging Well, beginning this week on Tuesday, October 13th. They'll be exploring beliefs, and we will not ask your age, so don't be afraid. You can check the e-news, or there's a link on our calendar, which is on our website, and please for the class. This month, we are celebrating the 250th anniversary of John Murray's first Universalist service in the United States. And on Wednesday, Erien, our indefatigable ministerial intern, will offer an adult religious exploration program on U Street. It's exciting. And if you're really excited, you can tune into the Board of Trustees meeting on Thursday night, this Thursday. Again, the link is in our calendar, which is on our website. Friday, October 16th, this is going to be fun. We're having open mic night, and you can offer music, a story, some jokes, ventriloquism. I'm waiting for that. Or creative thing floats your boat. Just be sure it is appropriate for an all ages audience and that it's no longer than 5 minutes. You can register with a link that's again in the e-news or on the church calendar on our website. And if you just want to tune in as a member of the audience, you can see details about how to do that also. I know we've got a lot of talent out there, so please sign up. And next Sunday, a week from today at 4 o'clock, I will be getting together with our teens and middle schoolers for a session called Use Your Voice, all about voting. It's hard to believe, but these kids will be casting their ballots in just a few years, and we want to make sure that they're educated. We'll also have a special surprise guest. So if you want to find out who that is, sign up for that class again on our church on the web. Today, right after worship, Nancy Slocum will host Kids Chapel, and login details are available from Nancy. That's for kids in grades 1 through 5. And also, following service, Yay Doug will host our monthly drop-in chalice circle at noon. And we'll be exploring what does it mean to be a community of deep listening. So I hope you've all been listening to all those announcements. Again, you can find all that and more in our e-news on the church website. Thanks for your ongoing financial support to our congregation. That's what makes all these programs and all this online stuff possible. You're supporting our staff, who are the wonderful creators and facilitators of these programs, and it allows us to stay connected as a congregation. Now, let us prepare to gather in worship.
Good morning. Welcome. I'm Erien Babcock. I'm your intern. I want to invite you to take a breath, center. Our opening words today are a prayer for sitting with the unjustly killed by Melissa Hill. I call to those who died in raging war, those who only wanted simple things, the joy of day and the calm of night. Blessed is your memory. I call to those who died from hate, those who were hurt by belief, from fueled fear, twisted tight, unleashed upon those who were seen as different on the other. Blessed is your memory. I call to those who died by the power of our mother, the winds and the storm, the fueled fire, the sweeping strength of the earth when she is out of balance. Blessed is your memory. I call to those who died from hunger, from preventable disease, from unneeded harm. I call to those who died from poverty-stricken, those struggling just to exist, because blessed is your memory. I remember you and I see you. I will not forget you. I will let the knowledge of this truth pass over and through me. I will remain ready to do the work as I am called to do it. And blessed is your memory. Amen. Bishe Ole. Ashe.
Please join me as Nancy lights the chalice. The words for the chalice lighting are in the chat. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and the holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who've gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come.
Thought I'd clicked on mute. There we go. My name's Nancy Slocum. I'm the Director of Religious Exploration here at Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation. And this is the time when we do our Time for All Ages. So kids, as you're gathering around your computer and device screens, I just wanted to highlight one thing. I didn't get it into the announcements this morning, that also this afternoon at 12:30, for preschoolers and for elementary school aged kids, we are doing Pet-a-Palooza. This is a chance for us to get together and we can introduce each other to our pets and our beloved animals. If you don't have your own pet, you may have a favorite stuffed animal, or you may have a particular animal that you really resonate with, that you really love, that's out in the wild that you want to talk about. So we're going to have some games to play, and that will be at 12:30 today. So we do Kids Chapel at 11:30, and then we'll do Pet-a-Palooza at 12:30, and I hope y'all will join. I've sent links out via my Religious Exploration email list this morning. If you did not get it, I have put my email in the chat. Please email me so I can send it to you. So good morning. Oh, it was cold and rainy coming to church today. Our weather has really taken a turn. We had some beautiful fall days this past week, but now it feels like fall. The leaves on the trees are turning colors. They're falling to the ground. The rains have returned, and who knows when we'll get a respite from them again. There's a chill in the air. It's chilly in here in the sanctuary this morning, I can tell you that. There's a lot that I love about this time of year, but it also reminds me always that winter is coming. It starts getting light later in the morning, and it starts getting dark earlier in the afternoon or evening. And I know this darker time of year, the darkness of winter is coming. So I try to take time and make sure that I enjoy these beautiful fall days when we have them. This is also the time when we gear up for what I believe is a very favorite celebration for many kids and for many adults. Costumes, corn mazes, jack-o'-lanterns. You got it. We're just a few weeks away from Halloween. And speaking of Halloween, let me also just put in a little reminder that we are having our very own online Halloween celebration for kids of all ages on Friday, October 30th. So I'm already working on my costume. I hope you're working on yours. But Halloween as we know it hasn't been around forever. It does, however, share traditions with the celebration of Samhain, a holiday celebrated by the Celtic people. Now, the Celts were people who lived in what is now Central Europe and starting a few thousand years ago. And they eventually spread and they moved to Northern Europe and to Western Europe, and especially Great Britain and Ireland. Now, I'm someone who loves looking at maps. If you're interested in knowing where these places are on the map, you can ask your parents to show them to you. And the Celtic people were people that we term as being earth-centered. Earth-centered. They lived their lives based on a calendar that focused on the seasons of the earth. You probably know our 4 seasons, right? Spring, summer, fall, and winter. And the different seasons really have to do with how much light we get from the sun at particular times around the year. Our Earth moves around the sun. Our planet is just going around the sun. And the time it takes to go all the way around the sun is 1 year. So you can think of the Earth as a big ball in space, and I actually have a big ball here in space that goes around the sun. The sun's an even bigger ball, right? A big ball of gas. The important thing to know is that when the Earth is going around the sun, it's not straight up and down like this. It actually is tilted on its axis. It tilts a bit. And so what that means as it goes around the sun is that sometimes where we live is facing towards the sun, and other times it's facing away from the sun. So when it's facing towards the sun, we get more sunlight, more direct sunlight from the sun. And at other times we get less. And that's why we have more hours of light in the summer and fewer hours of light in the winter, what we call the dark time of the year. And spring and fall are kind of in the middle. So the Celtic people, like many cultures, paid very close attention to the seasons. Because they grew their food and gathered food from their surroundings, they had to pay attention to which times of the year the foods grew and when it was time to harvest it. And it honored the times of growing and the times of harvest with great celebrations. A good harvest meant they would have enough food to get them through the winter. They'd have enough food to eat through the whole year when things weren't growing. So this gets us back to the celebration of Samhain. Samhain was a time to celebrate the last harvest of the year. They harvested grains in the summer. And in September, they'd harvest the fruits like apples. Those were ready to be harvested. And then towards the end of October, they harvested those things that took longer to grow, things like squash and gourds and turnips and pumpkins. And they had to work hard to complete the harvest. Everyone would leave their homes and come together to take part in this harvest and bring all the food in and store it to get them through the winter. And once they had all the food in storage, they would celebrate because they knew they were set for the winter and they would have what they needed. And this was a big celebration because they thought of this as the end of their year, the end of their year. We think of the end of our year, our modern calendar puts it at the end of December and New Year's Eve, and we have our New Year's Day starting January 1st. But they would think of the end of the harvest as the end of the year as they headed into the dark time of the year. And they would make masks and costumes, and they would carve turnips. I don't know if you know turnips, but they're a vegetable that's round. They can get quite large, I think. But they would carve turnips into faces, sometimes scary faces, that they would use as lanterns. Costumes, masks, carving vegetables. Does this sound familiar at all? And they'd also have a large bonfire after the celebration that each take some fire from the bonfire back to their homes. Because when they were busy harvesting all the crops, they couldn't keep the fires going in their homes, so they needed to start a new fire when they got back to their homes. And so they would bring fire from the bonfire back to their homes so that they could have fire to keep them warm. They relit their home fires and settled in for the start of a new year. And some of these traditions continue, don't they? Do any of you dress up in costumes? Do you carve turnips? Well, okay, not turnips. You could, probably pumpkins, right? And we have corn mazes that are made from corn stalks that have been harvested. And it's the time of year when people who have gardens and farms are getting the last of their harvest in, maybe canning food to have on their shelves for winter, putting food in storage like the pumpkins and the squash, the root vegetables. So as you celebrate Halloween this year, however you celebrate it, you can feel a connection to these ancient Celtic people and know that we have traditions that have their roots in the celebrations that went on hundreds and hundreds of years ago. For me, I like to think about how these traditions connect me to these people who came before me, connect me to the turning of the seasons, and connect me to all the gifts we receive from the earth where we make our home. These are important to me. And that is our time for all ages. As you leave, I like to share the words that we often use to sing you out of the sanctuary when we are here in our beautiful building. We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go, to nurture the spark of your precious life. We hold you in our heart as you go.
And now is the time when we come together and think about how it is that we support this community that is so important to us, and to keep it strong so it will be here in our time of need and when we come back together again. So please follow the instructions on the screen, share your generous gifts, go to our website and click on the link, donate to Tahoma UU, or you can text the number there. Please let us dedicate the offering. Would you join with me in the dedication? We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. Now, okay.
Now is our time for meditation. And for today's meditation contemplation, I have a poem called The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows within me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, where the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still waters, and I feel above me the day-blind stars, waiting for their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free. As we sit for a moment in peace, please reflect upon those words. Thank you Bishe Ole, Amen, and Ashe.
Reading today, ways to honor your ancestors. I already did that. There we go. I had an odd thing in my screen. Ways to honor your ancestors. We all have ancestors, both of blood and of spirit. And each of our lives rests firmly on the foundation of their sacrifice. They are as near to us as our breath and bone. And when related in a conscious way, they can be a tremendous source of healing, guidance, and companionship. The ancestors we choose to honor may include not only recent and distant family, but also beloved friends and community, culture and religious leaders, and even other than human kin, such as companion animals. Our ancestors bring vital support to fulfill our potential here on earth, and through involvement in our lives, also further their own growth and maturation in the spirit realm. Fulfill your spirit's purpose as an ethical and loving person. The most important and most challenging way to honor our ancestors is to fulfill our personal potential and life's purpose here on earth. Many cultures maintain that we each have a unique destiny or karma to fulfill, and that we ideally make it a high priority to remember these original instructions and to do what is necessary to express our gifts, our true will, and our most authentic selves. The ancestors are seen as allies in this process of remembering, and a reservoir of power and backing to help us embody our potential in this lifetime. Conversely, when we have lost touch with a sense of greater purpose, if we are fortunate, the ancestors may bring about life changes aimed to jar us into greater contact with our soul's longing and increased awareness of the agreements made before our birth. Dedicate positive actions in the name of ancestors. Nearly all traditions have some way of recognizing the spiritual benefit of good deeds and generosity. Charity in the Christian traditions, Sadaqah in Islam, Tadeshka in Judaism, and Dana in Hindu and Buddhism are but a few religious expressions of the nearly universal theme of practicing generosity and affirming our interrelatedness with and care for others. Establish a physical place to honor the ancestors. The location and nature of an ancestor honoring place may vary widely according to tradition excuse me, and personal style. Ancestor veneration may also occur in places such as community temples and shrines, public monuments to the heroic dead, sacred groves, and other types of ritual spaces specifically consecrated for work with the dead. By anchoring the presence of the ancestors somewhere outside of our bodies and yet still in the physical world, we both externalize the dead and create conditions that support ongoing relationships. This is a quote from Riding Wind Horses, A Journey into the Heart of Mongolian Shamanism.
Thank you, Patty, for reading that so well. Falling into peace. I feel like we're all a little overstressed. I feel like we're all a little burdened in these times that are 2020. As I jokingly say all the time, the 5 years of COVID. But then I'm reminded through connection that the wheel is flowing and things are still happening. And that's a grace. And the reconnection to that is a powerful call. So Nancy, in our Time for All Ages, spoke beautifully about some of the practical things around worship around Samhain. I wanted to delve a little bit into the spiritual, if you bear with me and come on a journey and on an adventure with me as we fall toward peace, hopefully. So what is Samhain from a spiritual perspective? Well, the wheel of the year has spun and summer is done, and we flowed into fall. We face the crisping of the air and the crackles of the leaves. We have wisping fog around you, and you might hear voices in your dreams. Voices of those who guide you and those who came before. All of these are signals here in the northern hemisphere that the earth is in change. And this time is officially known for what's called the thinning of the veils between worlds. This feeling is that the world of the living and the world of our ancestors, they're closer in some sort of cosmic cycle. They're the closest in the year that they ever come together. This is the spiritual connection. And they reach the pinnacle of closeness around Halloween, as we celebrate it today, around Samhain, around October 31st. And the irony of this connectedness and this thinning is that it's found all over the world. We have this fancy term for what they call parallel development. This idea that these cultures weren't necessarily influenced by each other, but they have similar beliefs. And this idea of the thinning of the worlds is one of those things. It's probably one of the reasons that Samhain is my favorite pagan holiday. But there are more Shinto ancestor festivals at this time of year. We have obviously Samhain and Halloween. And then we have the Day of the Dead. They have All Souls. If you just look at all these different cultures, the Mongolian culture even, which is why I use the reading from that, they all sort of say that this is the time to connect with the people who came before you, those ancestors. It's a high day dedicated to our honored and mighty dead. It's the call to commune and to be restored before you face the hard times of winter. In this, it aligns with the earth's cycles, that interconnectedness, that inherent worth and dignity. All these things we claim. This is a culmination in such a beautiful and graceful and so natural a way. So now you're probably asking, Erien, I don't know if you looked at a calendar, but it's October 11th. Why are we talking about this now? Well, folks, let me tell you, leading up to Samhain in a lot of these traditions, you don't just show up ready to do the thing. You got to prepare for it. And because nobody ever just shows up for something, right? You got to do kind of the work before you do the work. And in the Druid traditions, they spent the entire moon cycle, so the whole month, before the high day preparing. And I'm going to put it bluntly, from a spiritual perspective, this was the chance for you to kind of get right with your people before they came to visit. You know how you clean before like grandma comes? Well, this is your chance to sit and work on your soul and work on you before you visit with grandma. And it's a time of labor of love. It's a time of deep love, remembrance, and respect. It's the time for you to be ready so that that little bit of time where the veil is thin, that you're ready to commune, that you don't waste that grace, that moment in your year. And the result of this is peace. We have ancient writings that they always sought this peace from their ancestors and growth. So we as modern people, we might or might not feel the thinning in different ways, or maybe you just don't feel it at all, and that's okay. But come on this adventure with me. So some folks, they feel like this random call to clean their house. They reorganize storage areas. And this is a long-standing, we talk about spring cleaning. Well, fall cleaning is the thing too, fall clean out. This is a long-standing tradition of earth-centered people. They always cleaned out the places where they were going to store their food before they put away their final harvest. Every mother will tell you that you cycle your fridge. You put your new fruit behind your old fruit. This is kind of what they're calling to do. And I would say if this is a call to you as a person, maybe you spend the next few weeks going through your pantry, doing the work. And then when you go through your pantry, if you find things that you're not going to eat in the next couple of months, maybe it's time to donate those things. Food banks, the call to give. But don't be surprised if you're like, I really feel the need to reorganize my storage bins. My garage needs a clean out. That's natural. That is the cycle of your people. And while you're doing it, I'm going to ask you to reflect on those who came before who also did such work. What was that like for them? What was that like? Can you imagine in times that were before ours? Because remembering is honoring. Remembering is honoring. And funny enough, psychology experts, for my science-minded people in the audience, psychology experts say this sort of fall cleaning leads to less stress over the arc of all the upcoming holidays and all the upcoming experiences that our modern world call for in the fall and winter. And I just think this shows another way that your body becomes in alignment with what the earth and what your people have done for generations. I just think that's just a fun truth there. Another way folk might answer the call to the thinning is a driving urge to maybe set aside old grievances or just sit with them for a while. Or often to address something they feel is wrong. In history, we have evidence that this was done in a very formal way at Samhain events, with true balance, give and take on both sides, compromise, and was strongly overseen by a group of respected elders or ruling people. We have some histories from Rome and Greece on this, really fascinating. And I think if you have it in you to forgive someone, you should, but not for them. Never forgive someone for them. Only forgive someone for you. And I think that this is also in total alignment with the election. I've always thought it was really fun that the election was on the first Tuesday after the first Monday on even years. I always thought it was like really funny that our elections are always right after this thinning. Like, just think about that. Let that center in you a little. So perhaps this is a step. This step is an urge to get you to get out and vote, protect voting. And just remember, even in history, this step is one that takes deep thought, long consideration, and care of your personal soul first. Sometimes we're not ready for something. And sometimes it's time to let something go. And all of that is okay. Perhaps you just simply acknowledge this and gain some peaceful support from your people to keep going as the year rolls forward. This place of decision is an area that science sees as bringing you better sleep. The idea is that if you're facing trouble sleeping, or that if you're having trouble making a decision, that the moment you make a decision, that your brain trips over into a place of peace. So suddenly you're calmer and you're better able to sleep. And that one is, again, for my science folks. Give you a little love there. Make decisions this time of year. It's okay. And the last way I'm gonna take you on an adventure that people might be driven this time of year is a restlessness of needing a change. If you're finding that you're needing something, that you're you're just sort of uncomfortable, and it's not COVID or, the weirdness in our world this year. Well, this is often seen as early guidance as the world's thinning, as you're getting closer. Somebody is reaching through and tapping you on the head. Hey, I call it the Gibbs slap. Any of you watch NCIS? That this is the early plan that from your people. They want you to make plans for the future, or maybe prepare to take an action. Their goal, no matter what, they want you to be whole, and they want you to be happy. Maybe this is writing to-do lists or getting something laid out for the future. It's also a wonderful way to organize your brain. Neurologists say this step is so extremely powerful because it gives your brain awake and sleeping time to come together on the things that you're thinking about doing for your future. That weird conscious and subconscious connection, and a tap on the shoulder from your great-great-grandmother. Me, I just like to think of this as the work of your ancestors. They're getting closer and closer to you, and they love you. I guess in the end, it doesn't really matter if you're sciencey about it or if you're spiritual. Because what does it hurt ever to reevaluate your plans for the future? What's the problem with making a pros and cons list of something? What does it mean to maybe say, let me do a cost analysis of this idea just to get it out of my brain, and then I can sit with it. Do it for your people. Do it for you. Do it for the community. Do it for the brain gains. I don't know. It's just maybe a chance to answer that call. I'd like to say, however you respond or don't respond to the thinning of this veil, it's up to you as a person. It's up to your soul. It's up to your body. Maybe it's a mind thing. Just remember that doing such work is truly in concert with the Earth's preparations for our hemisphere. Doing this aligns us in ways that science recognizes. This is the time to get right with your people. Get right with yourself. Forgive, love, all these beautiful words. Relax into this season. Seek your place in its system. Know you are enough. You are enough. You were meant to be who you are and how you are. Your ancestors brought you forward to be exactly as you are. You do not need to change. Take your extra breath. Remember the miracle of soul and the science to be who you truly are in the world. Blessing preparations for Samhain, blessing preparations for Soling, blessing preparations for Halloween, or however it is you celebrate this time of year. Know that I genuinely love you. I pray for you to my ancestors, and I pray to your ancestors. Blessings, Bisheole, Amen, Ashe. We ask you at this time in our service to sit with the things that you have heard, to set an intention to go through the week or the next month or the next year, and just let it do its work as you go forward into the world.